Thank you very much. Today in the morning we talked specifically about the Hondo and the Honzon, and also we spoke a little on the Butsudan, the Hon Butsudan. We spoke on how it is connected, our home Butsudan with our home temple, with the Minobu, Mount Hiei, Mount Tiantai, and Mount Sacred Eagle. Since you have the green book, if you look on page 7, it says on the third paragraph, at the home altar, we can enter sacred space and time, commune with the eternal Buddha Shakyamuni, pay homage to the benevolent spiritual beings who guard the Dharma and its practitioners, and remember our ancestors and deceased relatives. So this explains particularly that the Butsudan is our spiritual connection, our doorway to both this Honzon and all of the following Honzons, as I said, all symbolizing Mount Sacred Eagle, where the Buddha taught the Lotus Sutra. Though it is all too easy to assume that we are separate and fall prey to selfish attitudes and habits, by chanting Namu Myoho Renge Kyo and reciting the Lotus Sutra as part of our daily practice in front of our home altar, we renew our connection to the Buddha, to our families, and to all beings. In this simple practice, we are able to fully enter into awakened life that the Lotus Sutra expresses. And as I stated and will restate again, why we practice the way of the Bodhisattva is that we practice through action, through our life. Morning and evening service that we do is to reconnect ourselves. The way I think of it, in the morning, we balance ourselves, we establish ourselves in the practice. That is why our base is a Namu Myoho Renge Kyo, are the teachings of the Lotus Sutra. And then in the evening, I consider reflection. We reflect on the Lotus Sutra. So therefore, the home Butsudan is also private. This symbolizes your practice. So as your practice grows, your Butsudan grows. So each person's Butsudan has a particular character to it. And also, what is important to you and to your family, you can keep there. Actually, in my temple, we consider the Butsudan almost like a safety deposit box. So all the important documents in that are kept there. Also, my members keep there, we call a pilgrim's box, that when they get the people who went to Minobu, or some of you may have a gyoe, which is a white jacket that's stamped on the back when you visit all the temples as a pilgrim. We keep these items together along with our Buddhist names, that when we pass away, the priest has all of the information. And my members, we do a workshop to contain our will and testament and wishes and all of that important items, so that when the priest comes, we know where to look, to Butsudan. Also, if there's a fire, I was interesting at my home, the Butsudan, there was a small smoke fire. And Butsudan is quite huge. So I took the top off and took the middle part. And I ran outside. And in the other place was a Korean family. And they also were carrying their Butsudan. And we realized, oh, they were Buddhist as well. Basically, Butsudan is considered most prized possession, and usually can be passed on for many families. So whole family registry, whole family history is usually contained in that Butsudan. If the altar is entirely contained within its own cabinet, the Gohonzon, whether a mandala, statue arrangement, or combination of these, should be enshrined on the rear wall and should be just above eye level. Important thing about the Butsudan, should be eye level. Not that you have to go down and kind of look inside. What's in there? Eye level. Because whenever we're walking, we should be able to lock eyes and, intermittently throughout the day reconnect with the Gohonzo. If there is a statue of either Shakyamuni Buddha or Nichiren Shonin in addition to the Om Mandala, the statue should be placed just below and in front of the Om Mandala, as we see here. If both statues are present, the statue of Shakyamuni Buddha will be immediately in front and just below the mandala, and of course then Nichiren Shonin. the Gohonzon always should have an eye-opening ceremony be approved and performed before the enshrinement. So, eye-opening ceremony also for Butsudan. So if you purchase the Butsudan and it's used one, there is eye-closing ceremony. And then we reopen it and kind of purify it. So the sensei is able to do that. So in the United States, we recycle Butsudans. In Japan, because of the idea as we learned ki, today we learned about ki, which means power, there's another reading kei, which actually they believe if someone wears, if your clothing that you wear contains your kind of spirit, kei. So that's why they don't have garage sales for clothes and that, usually, a long time ago. Now it's changed with the youth, but older people won't wear other people's clothing and such. So that's why it's very important to know where we get the items, and when we have them, either have them purified and reopened and dedicated to us by our teacher. Also, another thing, Nichiren Shu members should have ancestral tablets, as we learned today, oihai, or a family registry book, the kakkocho that we discussed today. The ancestral tablets are plaques inscribed with the names of the deceased family members. These items should be placed below and to the sides of the gohonzon, just like in the paper I handed out to you. Below the ancestral tablets and record books, one should arrange daily food offerings, the daily water offering, fresh flowers, and an incense burner. So here I would like to just take a moment to explain that. So here is a small shrine, which is actually made by Nichiren Shu. So you can order this through Kanai Shonin. This one has the doors on it. So as Kanai Shonin said, in the morning we can open them up. As such. And on the sides here, the right and the left, thank you very much. On the right and left can go ancestral tablets. So we can put the paper on there for ancestral name. So I would like to go over the basic setting up of the Butsudan. So, and how to do offering. So let's say this is the most simple Butsudan. As I passed out before, we have the most simple arrangement is flowers on the left and the candle on the right. Then we should offer each morning tea and water. If you just can do, most people in the United States you don't drink so much tea, but if you do, please offer tea. But at the minimum, offer water. And that water symbolize, if it has a top, some people leave the top on, but that top is just for before offering. So when you offer, you should remove the top. Then we have a simple incense. So while we offer in the morning, we offer the water first thing in the morning as we open the Butsudan doors. Offer one stick of incense. Light the candle. Well, first light the candle, then offer one stick of incense and chanting. 3 times minimum, or do your morning service. As I tell people, I know daily life is very rushed. However, we should try to make time. That means wake up a little earlier. But if you're in a rush, some emergency or something, minimally, you should offer water and incense and chant 3 times. There is a saying, so when people come to visit my home or my temple, I always offer them tea. Because there's a kind of superstition or saying, if you don't have tea, enough time to have tea, you're rushing. And perhaps some disaster may befall you because you're not being mindful. So therefore, I always insist people visit, please have some tea with me. As we see with the candle, there are many styles. So as Sensei said, this is very difficult to find. We can use this kind of candle if we have a different candle stand. Or if you heat this with the lighter, usually it'll just melt onto it. Also flowers. We do not offer flowers with any kind of thorn on it, or dangerous flower, or of course, like Venus flytrap that eats other things. The reason why, if you offer roses, you have to remove the thorns. The reason why, the four great, unforgivable things is one of them is to wound the Buddha. So therefore, we put nothing on the altar that perhaps may wound the Buddha. So therefore, in the United States, they don't have roses so much in the East, but if people offer them, I ask them to remove the thorns. The other thing, color of flowers. So please try to use many colors. But if you perform a memorial service for someone, please offer white flowers. And if you can find a chrysanthemum, beautiful white flowers. So offerings of fruit and cookies. So important to remember, man-made and natural, okay? And the other thing is, how long do we leave our donations on our offerings on the altar before bugs start flying around here? Take it off before then. A lot of times what it is that we, as the Butsudan being our most important part of our home and our lives, when someone gives me a present or a donation, minimally I put on the Butsudan and chant it 3 times. But traditionally, usually I leave for 3 days. But the food, you can't leave out. So before I eat, I offer the food to the Buddha and then remove it and eat it after chanting 3 times. So Buddha doesn't magically come down and eat the food during the evening. The idea is as we said in the first of the 6 paramitas, giving. And also the symbolic nature of it. Yes?
Should we bless a mother or 2 before?
Bless? How would you bless them? Do you have a practice for that or something? You can bless, you can do that if that's a practice you like to do. Like you can speak some word into it or something? Yeah, you can do that. But traditionally, most important thing, not self-power. So sometimes if we do incantation over something, we say, I have a power. So idea is put in front of a mandala. In the Nichiren Buddhism, the reason why statue has power is because of the sutra. Of the 32 characteristics of the Buddha, the 32nd is the voice, the Dharma voice, which is represented in the Lotus Sutra. So that's why in all of Sensei's statue and in front of the statue is the sutra. So therefore, always place in front of Gohonzo. So that, but also you can do, your practice at home is your practice. So the incense burner usually contained the center is flanked by 2 flowers on the left and then the candle on the right. So the other thing with incense burners, lots of people use rice. Don't use rice. The proper way, you can ask Sensei for ashes. And when you make a Butsudan, one practice that we do at our temple is that I took ashes from my home temple in Japan and mixed them. So when we open a new temple, we import ashes from the incense burner to link, once again linking. So Sensei, if you ask Sensei, he can give you small amount of ash from here to mix with your ash at home. But in the Chinatown or in other places, they usually sell just a kind of gray ash to use. So please ask Sensei for that. He can help you provide. Along with the Buddhist prayer beads or juzu, the arrangement is designed to involve all the senses. And when we take the posture of prayer and respect by kneeling and putting our palms together in Gassho, we praise the wonderful Dharma with our voices through chanting Namo Myoho Renge Kyo. Now, one thing before I go into the meaning of these is that when we offer fruit and cookies, natural one, the way I was taught, if I'm incorrect, since these are left side, correct? And usually we offer odd number because other number can be easily divided, which is not a kind of cutting thing, is a kind of, not superstition, but a negative meaning in Japan. So in the Buddhist countries. So when they sell teacups, they'll sell them in 5s instead of 6, because 6 is easy to divide. So we don't like to separate things as Buddhism. We're trying to show the interconnectedness. And also, let's say you receive some sweet from someone. Sometimes if it's packaged very beautifully and if you open it, it'll get old, you can offer it that way. But usually, we should not leave in the package. So we should take out and put on the offering tray and offer to the Buddha, and then we can eat. So, and then we can chant and then remove to eat. But sometimes leaving this is not so good. So idea again is contemplation and respect. So we prepare it to put on the altar. And that goes on the right side. So left side is natural, right side is man-made item. So the candlelight offers a pleasant and natural light for the eye. This also symbolizes the light that's brought into the world by the Lotus Sutra. The flowers represent the beauty of life. Incense represents the pervasiveness of the sutra as it spreads out and perfumes the world. So as Nichiren Shonin says, just as perfume is caught in the robes, we absorb the Lotus Sutra. And if you have a bell, you can use for service. So usually the bell will go on the right side, usually next to the small bell or wherever you can fit it, depending on it. So offering pleasant fragrances for the nose. The prayer beads provides pleasant to the touch. The food offers pleasant to the taste. The Gohonzon enables us to focus our minds upon the eternal Buddha. What are we using? All of our senses. So all of these items are meant to involve our senses, because when we chant the Daimoku, we are supposed to be whole body and mind involved. Okay? So one last thing before we go, as a sensei explained it before, when we use the bell, like that, there is a big, small, big for 3 times when you do it. And when you hit it, it's up. Sometimes on the bell, there's a little stamp, depending on how good it is, or sometimes they make a mark that you can tell the most beautiful place for it. But if you don't, just get used to where you want to hit it. And it's big, small, big. That is usually not bong, bong, bong. I've seen people, or they wrap it this way, just so it sounds like a log hitting a hard metal object. That is not pleasant. So idea is be mindful, even ringing the bell. And when we light the candles, when we light the flowers, at the end, if you are, able to, which takes a lot of skill, you can do this. However, sometimes it shoots a wax, which is not so good. So please have a candle snuffer. Never blow out with your mouth. And that's also with the incense. Just shake it. Give it just a really quick shake, and then offer it, gassho, and bow. But don't use your mouth, because from here, lots of, we say is kind of dirty, the breath. So we never use the breath. That's why sometimes when we carry special objects, people will actually carry a mask and gloves. So, any questions?
If you were
Yes.
just starting off, which would you suggest to get first?
Well, most important, make a place. Find a place. Now, Sensei can help you arrange that if you need. One of the things that I recommend to my members is that I come to visit their home. Not only for the reason of making a Butsudan, but connection. Because once again, Butsudan symbolizes connection. Connection to our temple. So therefore, important, Sensei comments, so, oh Sensei, I'm thinking to be here. And he has a skill to say, oh, this is a good place or a bad place, and recommend, kind of like Feng Shui. But most people, the one thing I've told people, if you really, when people practice Buddhism, you have a sense. So you can kind of tell. And so usually we always place it, it depends where you want to put it, east, west, or north, but never south-facing north. North is considered a darker place, but in the north facing south is different, because the north is also a symbol for Kishimoji. So therefore, Sensei can make a recommendation for you. Also, items, like I said, timing. They're available here, you can purchase them anytime, little by little. So my members, I encourage them, make your faith like water, not like fire. So it's always nice, once in a while, maybe once a month, to add something to your Butsudan. Also, cleaning your Butsudan shows your mind. If your Butsudan is full of dust, that means you don't have time for your practice. So therefore, at least, if you have family or anything like that, make a 1 day a week to dust. So sometimes with children, it's a really wonderful idea. There's a Nichiren Shu video about the Butsudan. And the most important thing is that we chant with others, especially family members. That we sit, especially being the leader of the family, you have to kind of be the supporter. So to get up and prepare, and sometimes people want to help, but to make sure that you lead the service. Or you can allow others in your family take turns and lead service. But the important thing, it should be joyous, not a chore. And I have to say, at the beginning of my practice, it felt like a chore. Because my mind didn't like anything that it didn't like. My mind had other ideas for me. Usually things that get me into trouble. So therefore, that is Mara. That is our negative side, trying to persuade us to follow something else, less fruitful, less of what we want. So I believe in doing morning and evening service, being in touch with our Butsudan, seeing there is the Buddha, we can feel connection to the Buddha. This is a very important part. So therefore, if you have time, please read this book. And also, if you have a question about doing your practice at home, please ask Sensei. So this is very basic. Also, this is a rice cup, so in case you wish to purchase one. And when we make it, we make a little mound of rice. We make it really nice, and you kind of clean it. We don't just put dry rice in it. We actually cook it. So in Asia, of course, rice is a staple that pretty much every meal. That's why this is kind of popular. However, if you have a staple of some sort like that, you can put it here. Important thing, we adapt to our culture. In my Sangha, we have people from South America, from Europe, from the Middle East, from Africa, all over. And the important thing about the Buddhism is that we have an idea, but make it your own. So whatever your culture is, express it in that. And so therefore, your food is your food. You don't have to start cooking rice every morning in that way. But if you like to and you eat rice in the morning, please prepare. Or you can simply prepare it for the Buddha just to say thank you. But actually this much rice is kind of difficult just to make. But then again, express yourself. And the Butsudan is about showing my practice. So therefore, I always use the gauge of the Butsudan to see my practice. So if it's dusty, then I know I'm being lazy. And also, you smell here? When I walked into this temple, the first thing that hit me was incense. There's nothing like coming home or coming into the temple and feeling that, because this denotes this is a sacred place. Wouldn't we like our homes to be sacred as well? Yes. So that's why Butsudan open, light is shining out. That's why most important room we put the Butsudan.